Hi, folks. Welcome to Disability Landscape. I'm your host today, Mark Knutson, and joining me is one of our co-hosts, and today it is Tricia. Well, Tricia Carlberg. Sorry, I had a little blank brain lapse here. Tricia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark. And I'll forgive you on that one. Today we have Sarah Warden, and she's here from Ballet Royale, Minnesota. She's a jazz and ballet instructor there, as well as a program director for their, sorry about that, their barrier,
Ballet.
sorry, what was that?
Ballet Beyond Barriers.
Ballet Beyond Barriers. It's a little bit of a mouthful. And they're located in Lakeville, Minnesota, and it's a ballet academy for all ages and those who dream of becoming a ballerina or those who seek an outlet for personal growth or even fun. So we're so happy to have Sarah with us today. Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. So let's just jump right in and talk about that program again, Ballet Beyond Barriers.
Yes.
Yeah. What's that all about, Sarah?
So it's an inclusive dance program, adaptive dance program that we began back in fall of 2019. And very well thought out, that we really wanted to adapt the experience of the dance class as opposed to students having to adapt themselves to that dance class. So we have modeled our program off of Boston Ballet's adaptive dance program, which has been around for over 12 years, and they're the leading dance program in the country. And I went and studied with them to learn more about how they ran their program. And we get to benefit from 12 years of mistakes and things that didn't work so well, and to a really fine-tuned program. And that's what we're able to present to our students. So
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Ballet Royale has really been about bringing dance to everyone, making dance relevant. And we have all sorts of students, from mommy and me classes and just to adult classes to professional. And it just seemed like a natural growth to include adaptive dance. We really wanted to serve our community.
Question.
So
I guess
amazing.
I would like to ask. I should say, because I have no experience in ballet, and that, so when individuals take up ballet, what are they looking to? I know it's, obviously people do things as, they're looking for something to do, but when they do find, when they do look for something, they're looking to get something out of it. So when someone, any person that is looking into ballet, what are they typically looking to get out of it?
I think it varies. For some, it's the social aspect. Some, it's the discipline. For some, it's tying music with movement and how that informs our movement and changes our movement, and that connection, if they're very musically inclined. For some, it's fitness. I think it really, it varies for each person. Yeah, what brings them there, and then sometimes what keeps them there is completely different. They find so much more typically than what they initially came for.
I was telling Mark too that I have a good deal of dance background, having grown up dancing with the K. Marie and Carol's dance studio as a kid or whatever.
Oh, wonderful.
So yeah, so I do think that dancing really it helps with flexibility and just being able to express yourself in a different artistic manner. And I mean, athletically, that can carry with you like for the rest of your life. So yeah, I really enjoy it.
Most definitely. And a big reason why we are doing this in a dance studio, because some people say, well, why don't you bring it to other venues? There's something magical that happens in a dance studio. You walk in there and these big open floors, and our studios are beautifully lit and these giant mirrors. And there's just an excitement that happens for these dancers when they walk into the studio. They suddenly pull up, they're, you know, a little taller, and they move different, and they feel different by doing it as compared to doing it in a gym or doing it in a hospital multi-purpose room, which can feel clinical. This truly gives a feeling of dance, and that we're there for joy, we're there for expression, and all sorts of benefits occur, but it's all under the guise of this, that it's under art, you know? So we have social interactions, personal and social growth, motor development growth, musicality, practicing with sequencing, new movement patterns, all kinds of great attributes occur. But as far as all these kids know, they're just having fun and they're just dancing. And
Exactly.
so that's, you know, that's what we really love.
Yes, and can you just like paint a sorry, Mark. Can you
go
just
ahead.
like paint an image of like what it's like with your Ballet Beyond Barriers? So you have the a therapist, and then you have the individual who may or may not have like a disability or accessibility you know, thing when they're doing their dance. And so then who else do they have in the room with them, or can you explain that?
Yeah. So for every class, we have a faculty member from Ballet Royale. And
Okay.
then they're supported by a licensed physical therapist and a professional musician. Now with COVID,
Okay.
things are kind of changing, and how many people we have in the studio. We're just figuring out how to make everyone feel most comfortable. So we might sometimes use recorded music versus live music, but we aim for live music. And the physical therapist is not there for anything other than to consult. And so maybe I'll give a movement, and then there's a student who we need to regress that movement a little bit. So that physical therapist will say, hey, why don't we do this? So I really work as the three of us work as a team, you know, so we look at class afterwards, what worked, what didn't, how can we better help this student? And so one movement may be taught, but then there may be several different ways that movement is executed, and the physical therapist will support that, but it's definitely not there in a clinical way at all, but just to make sure that it's a safe environment, safe space for the kids to move in.
What are the types of disabilities do you work with? I would assume it's besides physical, I suppose it's also maybe intellectual disabilities. What range?
We've had students with autism spectrum disorder, with Down syndrome, with physical disabilities, with emotional needs. It's kind of run the spectrum, and it's so beautiful all being in class together. And the way we start class is we always start our warm up in chairs. So this is really fantastic, especially if one of our students is in a wheelchair. We're all in the same place, right? And we begin the warm up in the chair. Also, if there's some students who get fatigued easily, this supports them better, that they can really give their all still from kind of a seated position. So yeah, we've seen the gamut. We've seen all sorts of disabilities, and essentially what we say is, if you're able to come in on your own without a care worker with you, then it's the perfect fit for you. Yeah.
What has been your like response from Ballet Royale students as they're coming in and they're seeing this program and they're seeing like new faces, some people that they might not have ever seen before, and you know, just like kind of just opening their eyes maybe to diversity or things of that nature? What has been that response?
It's been great. We have an incredible group of students as it is, and some of the students have partaken in our class. And what I think is really wonderful for them is they are learning new ways of moving. So when we look at a movement, there's not just one way to do it. There's a lot of different ways we can execute that, and it can look differently. And so I think our students, their eyes have really been opened at recognizing that there's different ways to do something. There's not just one way. And I think that they are really happy to include a new group of kids into our Ballet Royale family. They're very welcoming, very kind. And so it's been a really great experience. And as it being an inclusive class, we've encouraged our students who have already been there, say, hey, if you want to join us in Ballet Beyond Barriers, please do. And there's been some nice connections, and there were two of them who didn't realize they were at the same school, and suddenly they started talking, and they were looking for each other then at school, and that was fun to make that connection for them.
Yeah, totally. I love that.
And with those,
You
with
also
those,
have,
with those students that
Go
you say that come and help along with, the adaptive program, do you talk to them beforehand, or, just to kind of give them an orientation so they're not nervous, or do they have any prep before they are introduced with the the adaptive program?
We have, and the first thing one thing I'll say that makes our program different than some of the others is that these students don't necessarily come in as assistants. We really want them to just be on the same page as all the other students. So they're taking the class just like the other kids.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's one way that it's different. And sometimes they'll get paired up when we go across the floor together. They might be paired up together. But yes, we have had some talk with them, answered any kind of questions, things that they may see that might be different, and how to respond to it, and being open to what they experience. And sometimes we talk about how our things that make us different, and how we sometimes feel, and just kind of get them in a dialogue so that by the time they go in, they're much more comfortable.
Yeah, because it helps to break the ice in that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
you also have an upcoming show, the Ruby Slippers, which is a Wizard of Oz ballet fundraising event. And it says that you'll be teaming up with the Twin Cities Ballet. How exciting is that? And can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, Twin Cities Ballet they have done an incredible job over the last 11 years in bringing dance to the Twin Cities. Everything from Nutcracker and these story ballets, reimagining these stories. And this Ruby Slippers is our first production since kind of everything got shut down last year. So that's really exciting. And that we did do a smaller version of Nutcracker this last year, but we're getting back in the swing of things, which is great. And we would love to, as we kind of get back in the swing, to start including more of our students, because a lot of our students from Ballet Royale dance in the Twin Cities Ballet's productions. And so our bigger goal, what we dream of, is to really include any and every student who wants to audition and wants to be a part of it. What's great is the directors of Twin Cities Ballets, they'll re-choreograph parts according to who they have for that year. And so there's a lot of space for wiggle room in how we imagine different parts. And so there's many parts that are limitless in who could perform them. And so we would love to eventually get some of our Ballet Beyond Barriers kids involved in their productions.
Yeah, I think that would be so tremendous. And then, so was that kind of difficult during, the pandemic to record that stream show? And, what kind of things were challenges that you came across or whatever?
Well, I think our biggest challenge is sometimes limited how many people we can have in the studio. Like I said, for our Ballet Beyond Barriers class, if we have a musician, that limits one more student from being in there. So
Mm.
sometimes we'll do recorded music so we can have an additional student in there. So there was that type of thing. And then just the costume aspect of getting masks made to match all the costumes and figuring out social distancing things. So yeah, there have been a lot of obstacles, but I really feel that the directors they've just stepped up every time and figured out, okay,
Yeah.
what do we do? You know, unfortunately for Ballet Beyond Barriers, we had to pull back. We really try to connect with our families. So before they even walk into the studio, I've connected with all of the families. I've gotten to know, learned a little bit about each student from their parents. They tell me about whether it's health concerns or whatnot, but personality types and maybe what kind of music they like, what really engages them, so that we have an idea what's going on with them. And so with us being really connected with the families, we were able to connect with them when the pandemic hit and said, okay, what's your comfort level? You know, and so we pulled back on the program. But this summer, we are in the works of planning something. And what we're going to do is, our plan, I think, is that we're going to hold it outside. We have a nice grassy area outside that we're going to put a tent up, and we'll have it out there. And if there's weather issues, we can always move it inside to an inside studio. But I think that will be our first foray back into Ballet Beyond Barriers. And I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, totally. I can imagine that using ballet toe shoes and having to incorporate the mask, that must be just an incredible thing to overcome and just be able to do. 'Cause,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I remember, yeah.
That's where I would say these dancers are incredible athletes with Twin Cities Ballet and our Ballet Royale students. They're not just artists, they really are athletes in how strong they've shown themselves to be in what they can do, regardless if there's a mask involved or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you also have I'm not sure if this is still going on, but it was advertised that there's going to be an open house designed for children of Shriners Hospital, which we already know a lot of individuals have disabilities from Shriners Hospital, and they'll be able to tour that your studio. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So last year we worked together with Shriners and we created an open house just for their students, and it was wonderful because the students were able to come in before our 6-week workshop and check out the studio, see where the bathrooms were, just get a feeling for the environment, get to meet me. And so when they arrived for that first day of class, all those wiggly jiggly nervousness things have already gone away because they've been at the location. And so we had several students from Shriners, which was wonderful. And we also had a lot of interest at Gillette. They were doing some work to help advertise the program. So it's been great, the response that we've received from these different children's hospitals and different physical therapists and whatnot. But yeah, that was an effort to make it a comfortable environment. And also the kids got to know each other beforehand and got to meet and greet before dance. So I think they also were more comfortable with that. Yeah.
Well, I just think that's awesome because when I was like 13, I had broken my leg. And so I was at Shriners Hospital for like 9 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And it was right before my big orchestra hall ballet recital. And I was like just so disappointed because I'm sitting in a body cast. And I'm like, how am I going to show up to my, my performance or do anything? But my mom just absolutely insisted that I just come with a body cast in the wheelchair and get carried on stage to receive my 5-year award. So it was just like, it's so meaningful to be able to do that. And I still remember being in Shriners, and Shriners Hospital does so much for kids. And at that time, it wasn't just this feeling of isolation. It was there. I felt active throughout my whole like 9 weeks stay there. So I can't imagine like kids who are coming in, maybe they're in rehab or something going on with their transition, and they're able to still have fun. And I think that's so great that you guys are opening your doors like that.
Absolutely. Well, and like you said, you know, kudos to your mom for having her get you up there, because
Yeah.
it wasn't just about that one moment on stage. It was all that work you had done. It was about the process.
Mhm.
And
Exactly.
for us, that's a big focus in our classes. It's about that whole process. So we're not goal oriented, like it's about the show at the end. What we do at the end is we'll invite parents in to the in-studio showcase and just show them what we've been working on. Because I don't want the kids to get overly focused on the idea of a show. That can be nerve-wracking for anybody. I want them to really enjoy the process of learning, growing, trying new movement. We do, in every class, we have a music component. So we pull out tambourines and drums. We try different rhythms. We talk about how those rhythms make us feel, about how those rhythms, how we might move differently with those rhythms. And so our class is really about the process more than anything. And so, yeah, it was wonderful having our Shriners kids. They were fantastic. All my kids were, but they had so much energy, and Shriners was so quick to jump in and say, let's do this. Let's get our kids moving. And that was really exciting for us.
Is the class a for the students, is it a one-time type class, or is there continuing,
We have done, so we did, just before Christmas of 2019, we did a Petite Nut, and it was a one-day workshop, and they got to either be a mouse or a soldier, and we did the battle scene of the Nutcracker, and they all learned a little bit of choreography in, I forget how long we were there, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Okay.
We learned a bit of choreography, and then what was fun is the woman who played Clara from Twin Cities Ballet, she came in full costume, and she came and danced with them. And then we brought the parents in, and they got to do a little Nutcracker scene. And then they also learned a little bit from the second act, and it was the Chinese tea, and they had umbrellas that they were spinning, which was really fun. And they did a little number from that. So that was a one-day workshop, but we typically try to do longer workshops so that they can feel the success of it. Because like I said, that first class, you're really meeting them where they're at. You're getting to know them and how you can best support them. They're nervous. And that second class is a whole different game. And from that point forward, it really changes. They're now more comfortable with the environment.
That's what I was curious about, is kind of, I guess, retention wise, once a kid gets started, do they really, it sounds like they really enjoy it and they want to continue on to whatever the next thing may be. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a lot of repetition in the class so that there's a sense of confidence. Oh, I know this step. I've done this step before. I can do it again. And then we might push it a little. Like how can we take that to the next level? And that little bit of growth and that sense of success. Oh, I just tried something new, keeps them coming back, and they just keep wanting to try it. And like I said, it looks, a jump, for example, looks different for every single student. So if the student is in a wheelchair, it might be a wheelie. That jump might be just shoulders. It might be a head. It might be a full jump. But you still get that energy. You get that energy regardless of what it looks like. And that's something that really resonates with me, especially as a jazz teacher. Jazz is more about how you express your energy. So that's really what I push with these students is, let's find your way of expressing your energy for that step. So yeah.
Okay, we're just about out of time. I'll let Tricia ask the last question, and then we'll have to wrap it up in that.
Okay.
So Tricia, do you have something?
I was just gonna say is that the show with I'm sorry, the Ruby Slippers, is that going to be able to be streamed even after that? I think the last date was the 16th or whatever.
Yeah, so they just streamed it on Mother's Day. It was a live stream, but I
Okay.
believe that you can go to twincitiesballet.com and or .org. Ooh, don't quote me on that. I'm not sure if it's .org or .com. Twin Cities
We
Ballet.
won't tell anyone.
And you can purchase it to stream it at your own convenience. And they filmed it beautifully. So it's more like a movie, in that there's close-ups and there's moments where they're in with the dancers, and there's above shots. So it's quite unique in its filming. It's not just a flat production. And hopefully that will be engaging for people and say, hey, I want to know more about Twin Cities. I want to know more about Ballet Royale, and hopefully Ballet Beyond Barriers. And they'll want to come in and dance with me, dance with us.
Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
great. Yeah, this has been great. I probably should wrap it up here. So, Sarah, once again, thank you for joining us on Disability Landscape, and Tricia, let me get you in real quick. Tricia Carbo, thank you for doing another interview with me and that, and we'll call it a wrap, as they say, for Disability Landscape. Mark Knutson here. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.